Hello everybody, John12 back here again with another video, and I'm here to give you a very special video, a video that I have not really done on my YouTube channel for, I guess, the overall existence of my YouTube channel, and that's, of course, to talk about WWE. I'm talking pro wrestling, I'm talking about something that I don't necessarily watch anymore. I mean, for those of you who don't know, I was a dedicated, hardcore fanboy when it came to WWE, wrestling, pro wrestling, just entertainment overall. It was a thing that I really enjoyed and was a gigantic fan of back in the day. But after, I want to say, like, the late 2000s, basically like mid 2000s, leading into the late 2010s and onward, that's pretty much the time period as to when I just completely stopped watching wrestling as a whole, and I just haven't really been that interested in it. But there was an event that did pass by pretty quickly that before I left on my little vacation out of town, I thought it would be an interesting first-timer kind of video to do for my YouTube channel, as that will serve as the last video I will be doing before I go on vacation, and of course, up until the day I come back and start continuously making more videos. But if that's obviously my personal thoughts on Stephen Amell appearing and going up against Stardust and King Barrett at SummerSlam 2015. Now, obviously, SummerSlam is hands down, it's a pretty big event. It's a badass event. It's pretty big. Essentially, it's the silver lining of the summer if you're essentially a pro wrestling fan. However, this was a long time coming from the various Q&As, from the talking, just a hype about it, the overall, like, oh, it's going to happen, the negotiations, the overall hype of this event of Stephen Amell someday appearing in some form, shape, way, or form in a WWE event has finally come. He was in SummerSlam, and they had this real big, real story about it, which I have not fully gone into. I'm just here to talk about the fight at SummerSlam overall. But that being said, I guess the first thing I can say is that I really didn't care because, once again, I haven't really been a big fan of pro wrestling, WWE, for a long time now. However, I'm a pretty big Stephen Amell fan. I like the guy, and he's a pretty interesting dude, and he freaking kills it on Arrow, and I like Arrow, of course, and I thought it was pretty interesting that he wanted to be a part of some kind of match on WWE for so long. That always intrigued me, and to finally see it flourishing and actually stop talking about it and actually do it, it was pretty badass to see that happen. But that being said, I was not really going into it with really high expectations because, number one, like, celebrities who do the co-star kind of like, oh, like, I'm gonna try and be the villain of the month, or like, oh, I'm gonna be a part of this match and actually do something. I always hate it. I always feel like it's the dumbest, ridiculous thing ever. I didn't even like it back in the day, like, ever since the conception of, like, Raw, and, like, just pretty much it just never appealed to me. I always felt like pro wrestling is a facade in of itself, but then when you start bringing celebrities into the matches and start incorporating them into it, the best way I can put it is that the day, and this is just my subjective personal opinion, no one has to agree with me, but the day that I saw K-Fed be in a pro wrestling match that I was a gigantic fanboy over and just completely dedicated to, destroyed my fucking perception of pro wrestling, specifically the WWE. I mean, that fucking dude and this shit, fuck this noise. And I was pretty much done with that celebrity junk bullshit of, like, celebrities, oh, I'm gonna fucking pick up a match with the fucking John Cena. Yeah, fuck you. You don't even need to be here. However, Stephen Amell is the complete polar opposite of that because, A, he's a gigantic fan of pro wrestling, he's a fan of the WWE, he's a fan of television, he's a fan of entertainment, he's obviously very, open with his fans, and obviously he plays a superhero on TV, and I've seen the guy kill it in a gym. Like, I've seen him destroy a gym with his parkour moves and his fucking workout sessions and all that shit. He can fucking do this shit. So I was all for it. Going into it in the beginning, it was kind of weird because, however, even though with that being said, with the whole, nay or say about it, like, oh, celebrities suck. However, Stephen Amell, pretty cool guy. It just felt odd because the wrestlers are so gigantic in comparison to him, to a certain extent, physicality-wise. And then, like, when he came up, you didn't really knew if he was actually going to be a part of it, logistically, like, in the sense of, like, oh, he's going to be, like, a legitimate competitor, not just, like, oh, I'm going to just stand in the sidelines and, like, maybe slap someone on occasion. Like, it kind of felt like that in the opening. However, when you start getting into it, he's, like, jumping around, he's kicking ass, he's, like, making a fool out of Stardust, which I guess is kind of easy, just overall, just looking at, I mean, I know who the guy is. It's Cody. I understand Cody Rhodes is this current incarnation of Stardust. I understand that, but I just can't take it seriously. I know that's the total point of it, but it was kind of funny just to see Stephen Amell kick his ass and do all that crazy shit to him. Overall, moving off of that, it just kind of went on, and it was a little uninteresting at times. However, Stephen Amell pretty much kicked ass. And also, I guess, the major cliff note of all this when it comes to this specific event in this match has to go down to when Stephen Amell got on top of the ropes and just jumped in the air and landed on those two dudes, Stardust and King Barrett. I mean, that was freaking badass. I thought that was really cool. I mean, granted, that's not insanely crazy. We've seen pro wrestlers do that all the time. But to see him do that kind of shit and, like, not have any of the, you know, stupidity of, like, oh, I'm hurt because I fell, you know, because that happens a lot with pro wrestling when you jump off the top of the rope, you fall on, like, two freaking gigantic dudes right on the mat. It's like, how are you still have your neck attached to your fucking body? I don't know. That's just my opinion. However, it was pretty badass to see him get right back up, go back in, dominate the match. They won. Team Mel, if you will, because, you know, I can't really say Team Arrow because it's not the TV version of Team Arrow, not to mention the fact that he didn't really get to wear his Arrow costume, which I was really hoping. That's the number one definitive thing I really wanted Stephen Amell to do for this match, because it was promotion that kind of way. It was like Arrow versus Stardust. Like, that was the fucking promotion of this SummerSlam event, specifically this match. I don't know about all the other crazy stuff over there. This was the only thing that intrigued me overall. However, it was not that. He pretty much just showed up with a hoodie, so it was just whatever. It would have been cool if he came out with the costume, but then again, that's for TV. It's not for just, you know, recreational fucking use. He can't just be fucking around with that shit, ruining it, and having the costume designers make an entirely new suit, which I'm pretty sure they have dozens of anyways. However, the match overall was entertaining. It was fun. I'm not giving like a rating or anything, because this is not really a critique. It's more just like just personal thoughts of a fan. So overall, I thought it was decent. It was pretty cool. Stephen Amell, I heard the guy talk about the WWE and being a part of it for so long now, and now that it's finally here and you can actually see it, it's pretty cool. It was pretty fun to actually see that kind of go down, and I wish the fight kind of went longer and it was more eventful. Not to mention, I would have loved it if he wore the actual Arrow suit, but overall, Stephen Amell killed it. He was a trooper. He fucking killed it. He jumped around like a legitimate pro wrestler. He looked the part, even though he may not have been physically adequate in comparison to other pro wrestlers of today's WWE. It was okay for its standards, and overall, it was pretty okay. That's all I can really say. It's just, it wasn't as grand as I was hoping it to be, and people were hyping it up to be, but it doesn't mean that I was disappointed by it by any stretch of the imagination. However, that being said, let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. What are your personal thoughts on it? Stephen appearing at SummerSlam, fighting Stardust and whatever. What are your personal thoughts on the event overall? And also, who else would you like to see from superhero television take on pro wrestlers? I mean, like, I want to see Batman fight someone in WWE. I think that's going to be the only way I'll ever go back to WWE, is unless I start seeing more stuff like this. I want to see more DC superheroes take on pro wrestlers. And I want to see some Marvel characters in there too. Maybe that's happened before. I don't know. Once again, I haven't watched WWE in such a long time. This is the first time I've watched anything WWE in such a long time, so that's just my personal thoughts. But let me know in the comment section below, what are your personal thoughts on me actually doing something pro wrestling for once? Let me know about that also in the comment section below. But however, this is going to be the conclusion of this video, my last video entry to my YouTube channel until I come back on the 6th of September. So be on the lookout for videos of Josh 12 in September. Let me know. Comment below. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you've not done so already. And of course, if you also have not done so already, subscribe to my channel. Why not? Just subscribe. It's easy. It's fun. You get more videos of me talking about stuff that you can pretty much do yourself, but it's with my voice. And of course, then, I hope you guys enjoyed. And this has been Josh 12.